there is a little bit of a disconnect between my incentive as a CEO and your incentive as an investor at the IPO stage. You'd be like, let's sell this business for $600 million. And I'd be like, let's IPO and then sell the business for $600 million to wipe out your prep.
Now let's get into the fastest growing categories on Meta. What do you think they are? If you had to name 3 categories.
Chinese brands.
Number 1 is pets.
Okay.
Number 2 is cleaning supplies. In parentheses, subscription. Very interesting. Did you hear about Amazon Go?
Oh, yeah, that they've got 1,000 Indian people.
Yes.
And like their
AI is now anonymous Indians. If something says it's AI, it's probably not AI.
Yeah. You think ChatGPT is 4,000 like Indian people?
Just quickly on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Red Stag Fulfillment? They're one of the only 3PLs that we're a fan of, and I'll tell you why. They're backed by 3 performance guarantees with their clients. 0 shrink, 0 mispicks, and 0 missed shipments. In fact, if they miss one of those guarantees, they fix it at no cost to you, of course. But they'll also pay you $50 per instance for the inconvenience. If you want to learn more, check out redstag.com/limited.
All right, we're back. Episode 2, season 8.
Can't wait.
It's been a minute since I've introed us into an episode.
All
I feel like you like doing them.
I like doing them?
Yeah.
I feel like I just get them I just feel like I'm like, I never think about it, actually.
Yeah. Did you hear about Amazon Go?
Oh, yeah, that they've got 1,000 Indian people.
Yes.
And like their
AI is now anonymous Indians.
That's not there's one other business that I know. I don't want to name it, but basically they have cameras to track traffic inside businesses. And they just use an outsourced team of Indian people with cameras, access to the cameras, and they count them all. And this is how many people walked in every 5 minutes.
I always have this rule of thumb that, if something says it's AI, it's probably not AI.
Yeah. You think ChatGPT is 4,000 like Indian people?
Just quickly on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I can tell it's not because they don't have an accent on ChatGPT.
But now that Amazon has proven that even their AI was bullshit, I'm like, what is AI really?
It's also
Who's using AI?
It's also bananas that you couldn't get away stealing. Like, how good were those Indian people? Like, did you ever use the store? Did you ever go to the store?
It was so accurate.
Yeah. They didn't get anything wrong. How did they not get anything wrong?
Nothing wrong. The cat caught everything.
Yeah.
And I wonder, all that tech on the ceiling, was that just fake? Like fake?
Well, I think those were all cameras
outside of
to
the
track
cameras.
you, so that they were monitoring you, being like, okay, they were probably like, okay, add this person to him. Add this thing. Each person was walking around, they probably had the shape of a cart, and you're like, add this to him, add this to him.
Yeah,
pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
I did see that. It was bananas.
So for today's episode, I've got three main things to talk about, and then if we have time, I'd love to ask you some questions about something that came up earlier this week. Somebody asked me. I didn't really know how to fully answer it, so I'll give you my answer, and then I'd love to get your take on that. So to start off, there's been some new cool tech I've seen lately that I wanted to talk about. Have you heard of a company called Black Crow?
No.
Black Crow is basically a software company for Shopify brands, and one of the things that they're coming out with soon is, and I should also preface by saying, I don't know how much of this episode we would get in trouble for talking about, but
it's the best.
One thing that I saw that was cool was in Facebook. So, we were talking about last episode, when you get your ASC campaigns going, 30 to 50% of those customers are existing customers.
Yeah.
With Black Crow, they, speaking of AI, they have an AI that is pretty accurate. And initially it was used really on sites to segment users better. So if somebody goes to let's say they go to everlane.com, they go to the homepage, Black Crow is basically reading all these signals. How far down are you scrolling? How much time are you spending hovering over a certain item? If you click on the jeans, are you clicking through the colors and the sizes? And it'll categorize you into low intent, medium intent, or high intent as a user. Then your high intent, those are your cheapest to retarget. Your medium intent, pretty cost efficient to retarget. Your low intent, you want to actually reroute into more of a prospecting style funnel.
Yeah.
So that's how Black Crow initially started. And then they started to get really, really good with this predictive technology that they have. And So the cool thing that they're launching soon is basically within Facebook Ads Manager, you can now have custom columns based on events that Black Crow will feed back into Facebook. And those events are, like an example of them would be, you can say, give me the predicted LTV of the customers being acquired in this campaign, or the predictive AOV of customers being acquired in this campaign.
And who will do that? Black Crow will do
Black
that?
Crow.
Okay.
The other thing is they'll break out new versus existing in your ASC campaigns, which I think is also interesting.
Facebook breaks out new versus existing in your ASC campaigns. Like you can see how much you spent
in the reporting?
for each. Yeah.
Got it. So I thought that was cool.
That's interesting so they're like, this person's high intent, spend less on retargeting for them. This person's low intent, move them back into prospecting.
Yeah.
Or like, some prospecting, retargeting hybrid.
Right.
Okay.
Like for for one of the brands I'm thinking of, the medium intent sees like the normal stuff, the high intent sees the offer, and the low intent goes to advertorials.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
Another one I mentioned on the last episode was heat map, which is basically like, I've always talked about Microsoft Clarity.
Yeah. I actually started using, I started like looking at Clarity, and it does look awesome. I haven't like installed it anywhere, but it looks fucking awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Heat map does that, but with revenue attached to all the things. So not only can you see like, 60% of people click this button in your hero or click the add to cart button, but you can actually see like, oh, people who open the ingredients panel, that led to a higher revenue per session. Or people who, looked at the collections page versus going just to a product page from the homepage, that led to a higher revenue per session.
Wow. Okay.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah. And is heat maps free as well?
Heatmap.com singular. It is not free, but it is pretty affordable.
Okay.
Next one is actually one I brought up before, and then you said that most people don't need it. And then I saw on Twitter, you actually reached out.
Blot out?
No, Amped.
Amped. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Amped is, they make the best pop-ups. Did you ever use it?
No.
Did you ever get a demo?
No.
Okay, you should.
Is it good?
It's really good.
They make the best pop-ups, right?
Yeah, and now they've got...
Why? Tell me this. Why should you pay for this? Because you could just design this. Is it?
I know, but it's just like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's so much easier. It's so much better. And it's like, sure, maybe you could design it, but like, why not just use the app that's already doing?
Yeah, that's fair.
This,
I guess
right?
I would be okay with it, but the pricing, I like, the pricing based on visitors, I get so obsessed. I get so upset.
Yeah,
when I'm
volume
like,
based.
Yeah, I'm like, look, this is, this doesn't cost you anything. You installed it on my, like, why am I paying so much for this type of price? Like, the pricing gets me.
You got to drive shareholder value.
Are you an investor at all in Amped?
No.
Okay.
No.
But people did
not
say
in
it was
Amp,
good.
not in heat map.
Okay, people did say that Amped was good. I'll readily admit that.
They just launched their integration with the PostScript on-site opt-in as well,
that too,
which I'm very excited for.
Yeah.
Another one that we're both investors in
PostScript.
Yeah, both investors in PostScript. We're also both investors in Okendo.
Yeah.
They're about to roll out their loyalty program, which is going to be huge.
Yeah, they've been working on it for a while.
Yeah, and it's very easy to use, very easy to set up, very easy to customize, easy to add triggers. That I'm excited for. And the last one I put, have you heard of TrueMed?
No.
TrueMed is Justin Mayers' new company. It's basically a payment gateway, sits in Shopify, and if you sell anything that helps people feel better, live better, be better, they can help you justify it to be a pre-tax purchase.
Yeah,
so
through your FSA or something.
Yeah, or HSA.
HSA.
Which is awesome. Okay, now one thought I had. There's so many of these software companies that are now slowly starting to do, like Black Crow has one new feature that was an entire other company's business. And then, company B adds 2 product features that were 2 big gets for one entire company. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? Like,
you're saying that all these companies are starting to launch
a ton of overlap.
Product.
Yeah. Now, I thought, okay, in a normal market, that would mean roll up, right? Like somebody would come in and try to roll it up.
Yeah.
But these valuations are absurdly high. The only way, unless you know of a way, in my view, the only way this could happen is if they either fail or like go into bankruptcy.
You're saying, how do these businesses get rolled up into one another because everyone's launching the exact same thing?
And they all, when they raised money, they raised at these insane valuation.
Yeah.
No one's going to pay those.
Yeah. There's a couple ways that this can happen. One is, yes, well, there's a couple ways I think this can happen. One is people buy each other via stock. So let's say you raise money at a $2 billion valuation, and now you're worth $400 million. You're probably worth $400 million, but no one knows that because you haven't raised any money recently. So now you have this $2 billion valuation. You have this equity. You can go buy a company using this equity as your currency, your equity, right?
Oh,
and say,
interesting.
Hey, I want to buy your business. Yeah, I'm going to give you 10% of my business. It's valued at $200 billion. You get 10% of the shares that are existing, and I can go buy your business. Now, your business was valued at $500 million, but it's actually worth $200 million. Or maybe it's worth $100 million. I'm giving you $200 million in my business, but my business isn't worth $2 billion either. So like there's this amorphous, nobody knows what anybody's getting type of transaction happening where you get equity and everyone knows that it's not valued as much as you think it is, but at least your company wasn't valued as much as it was valued at last time anyway.
And how is that different from SPACs?
SPACs are companies going public and saying, we put a valuation on that. Like there is a cash valuation of your business at the end of a SPAC. Like basically it's like saying, okay, I'm going to go public. The method I do it is instead of going public traditionally, I go public via SPAC, but now there's a dollar valuation to my business. Let's say, let me give you an example, and I'm just making these businesses up. Roman is worth $10 billion. It's not obviously, but let's say it was. And they're going to try and buy, Hims is a bad example because Hims is public and has a public valuation, but they're going to try and buy, what's another business that's private in the healthcare?
Call it Curology.
Curology. They're going to try and buy Curology. And they go, hey, Curology, we're going to buy you for $5 billion. You're going to get 50% of our shares. Curology is going to say, well, you're not worth $10 billion. So 50% of you is not $5 billion. And, Roman's going to say, you're not worth $5 billion either. So I agreed. We're not giving you $5 billion and you're not getting $5 billion. But maybe you're worth $2 billion. And we might be worth $4 billion, and we just gave you half our business. So now, you got $2 billion. You got $2 billion really. So that's one way that you can get around this with M&A, which is using currency. There's this great book that Bill Gates borrowed from Warren Buffett and never gave him back called Business Adventures, and it talks about 9 different CEOs. And the CEOs, one of the lessons that I learned from that book was that the CEOs realized when their business was undervalued, they're almost the number one thing that they did was they're like, our business is really undervalued. We have all this cash, but the market is saying we're worth $1 billion. We're actually worth $5 billion. So they take their cash and they go buy their own stock so that there's less of it going around and the business value goes up. And they go and use the cash to buy their own stock, a stock buyback. And then businesses, when they're really overvalued, they're like, look, my business is worth $2 billion. The market thinks it's worth 10. Like Allbirds was probably, worth $200 million. The market said it was worth $4 billion at some point. They go use their currency. They use their stock as currency and start buying other businesses.
Got it.
Because they're like, this dollar with this share of our stock is actually worth $1, but everyone's saying it's worth $5. So I can go use it and get $5 of value out of it.
Got it.
So, Allbirds could have been like, when they were worth $4 billion, they could have been like, let me go buy Figs and Outdoor Voices and a bunch of other businesses. Yeah, 10,000. And we can get them. We can give them we can give them 5% of the stock of a $5 billion business is $250 million. Let's go buy 10,000 and Outdoor Voices combined for 5% of our stock. Even the market thinks they think they're getting $250 million, but really we think that they're all getting $50 million.
Got it.
So they use they can use their equity as currency. The other way out of this situation is IPOs. Which is, let's say you're worth let's say you've raised $1 billion, but you're only worth $600 million. Now, let's say you sold the business, right? You sold your business. All of the investors would get $600 million. All the investors would get their money back first. Yeah. But if you and those investors otherwise own half your business and you own half. So, okay, Nik is my investor and he's invested $1 billion with me. And he owns half my business. Moiz is the CEO. He owns the other half. Let's say I sell the business for $700 million, $600 million. All the money goes to you. I don't see anything. Right? Because you have preferred. If I go public, your pref is gone.
It's still same percentages.
Yeah, you own 50% of the business. I own 50% of the business. But guess what? You have no pref anymore. Wipes away the pref. Everyone's common. And now we sell the business for $600 million. Guess what I get? Half.
Yeah.
You get half.
Interesting.
So that's the other way. But realistically, that's impossible for all these businesses. They're not like at the size where they could go public.
Yep.
And they're generally not at the size where they could use stock as currency. Although I think that Yotpo, Attentive,
Yeah, I was just thinking
PostScript.
Yotpo might be able to snag up some of these.
Yeah, I think Yotpo, Attentive, PostScript, and maybe probably not Okendo unless they're going for something small, are all in a situation where they could use their equity as currency.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
Yotpo raised a $2 billion valuation or something like that. Why not buy a business and say, get 10% of it and you have $200 million.
Right.
Although, you're getting 10% in Yotpo.
And like Yotpo's investors, because of that pref getting wiped out, are not anti-IPO?
They should be anti-IPO, but one, they probably can't stop it. Like,
Right.
at some point they also want liquidity as well.
Yeah.
But so they want to be able to sell shares and, realistically they've thought about yes, but that is a real problem. There is a little bit of a disconnect between my incentive as a CEO and your incentive as an investor at the IPO stage. You'd be like, let's sell this business for $600 million. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
let's IPO and then sell the business for $600 million to wipe out your pref.
Wow.
Pretty crazy. There's so much strategy that
Yeah.
involved here.
A lot of financial engineering.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
There is a lot of financial engineering.
Okay, I want to make sure we... Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. This is, I just went to Jambi's website because they're on AMP. This is what's an Amped pop-up.
It looks like it could be. It's not that beautifully designed, in my opinion.
Yeah, this
Go
I
to-
can do
go
in
to
Klaviyo in about 4
lemmylive.com.
seconds. I'm sorry?
Lemmylive.com. I'm pretty sure theirs is amped.
A lot of times on Limited Supply, you hear us talking bad about 3PLs. And it's because they just make so many mistakes or they're just not founder friendly. But let me tell you about one that is, and that's called Red Stag. This year to date, they are at a 99.993% accuracy across inbound inventory, order accuracy, and on-time shipping. In fact, during a recent complete inventory audit, Red Stag conducted for one of their clients across 10,000 pallet locations and 200,000 units. They had a 99.999% inventory accuracy. And yes, they wrote a check for the 0.001% shrink. That's the beauty of Red Stag. They promise you zero shrink, zero mispicks, and zero misshipments. And if they're wrong, not only do they fix it, but they'll pay you for that. If you want to learn more, visit redstag.com/limited.
Okay, while that loads for you, I do want to jump into this meta report.
Okay, yes.
So this, I'm sure, was shared under NDA. And so I'm not going to say who the brand was. I'm going to avoid any details that would let Meta figure out who this brand is.
Okay.
But there were a lot of really interesting insights that I think people would love. So, some background. The brand here is worth between $500 million to $1 billion.
Is it in e-commerce? It's e-commerce?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to text it to you so you
great.
you can see it. So it's worth 500 to $1 billion, and then they spent $5 million in the last 12 months or last year on the platform.
I'm sorry, how much did they spend?
$5 million.
$5 million on Facebook?
Yeah.
And they're worth $500 million to $1 billion?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
What are they doing? Yeah.
I know. I thought it was. It could also be that they raised during like the highest peak, and so it's not really worth that much. But I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Their CPM is under $15, which is interesting bookmark for later. Okay, now let's get into the fastest growing categories on Meta. What do you think they are? If you had to name 3 categories.
Chinese brands.
Rhymes with Remu.
Yeah, that's right. And BN. Fashion, because
Okay.
I think that probably cheap, crappy consumer electronics, which
Yep.
is in a weird, that's not a category, obviously, but you know what I mean by cheap, I don't know how to describe cheap crap. The stuff that you buy on Amazon where you're like, okay, this could be great and useful, but it also is not made by Apple, obviously. Yep. How many categories do I have to name?
Just 3.
Just 3. Okay, so fashion, electronics, another rising category. I mean, beauty isn't rising. They've been doing it forever.
No, this doesn't necessarily. Actually, yeah, you're right. It is fastest growing. Okay, I'll just tell you.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Number 1 is pets.
Okay.
Number 2 is cleaning supplies.
Wow.
In parentheses, subscription. Very interesting.
And I'm sorry, this is coming from Facebook. This is a report
Yeah,
of
this
their
is-
fastest growing categories. Cleaning supplies subscription. What is cleaning supplies like Swiffer or Tide or both?
I think when I read that, my thought was like countertop cleaning.
Got it. Okay. Grove Collaborative.
Yeah. Yes. And then the third one is kitchen appliances, which I feel like that checks out.
Kitchen appliances?
Yeah.
Okay. I can see how that's growing. Like, during COVID, it was impossible to buy kitchen appliances. Did you know that? Like, it was, so like, I can see that now they're probably like stop all ad spend because we cannot produce enough dishwashers to sell all the people who want dishwashers.
Yeah. I think here, like, first I'm thinking more like cookware.
Oh, okay,
similar to
gotcha.
HexClad.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kitchen appliances. Okay. Appliances is a tough term there.
Yeah. Let's call it like kitchen products.
Kitchenware. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So those are the top three: pets, cleaning supplies on subscription, and kitchen appliances. I wouldn't have guessed the second one. I would have probably guessed the first one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have guessed the third one is the fastest growing, considering I feel like the last 3 years, all the cookware brands exploded already.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, now performance snapshot by category. So this was really cool. The coolest thing about this report, I've never seen slides like this before. Like, this is real shit. It's not like they're what goes up on a blog and is PR friendly. So performance snapshot by category. They gave 1, 2, 3, 4.
Was this
5,
the
6.
roadshow like yesterday or a couple
No,
days ago?
but I think it was tied to the roadshow.
Yeah.
Okay, so this category of art and custom frames. I didn't realize this category would be so big that it's a category to Facebook, the ads team. Their conversion rate is just under 4%. This is all website conversion rate. And
what do you mean by website? The conversion rate on websites that have, custom frames is 4%. Okay.
Yes. And their AOV is just less than $100.
Okay. The other category I would have guessed is actually betting. Not betting, but betting. Like FanDuel.
Like FanDuel or Prize Picks.
Yeah.
Actually, that's so interesting that it's not in there. Yeah. I wonder if it's because maybe this is specific to CPG.
Yeah, maybe.
Versus like app installs and things like that. Second
I'm sorry, you said betting is the second category in terms of highest conversion rate?
No, betting and home textile. This I'm just reading in order.
Yeah, okay.
Their conversion rate's around 2.6%.
Okay.
And $175 AOV.
Okay.
Toys and baby goods, around $100 AOV with a 2% conversion. Kitchen products, $200 AOV, just under 2% conversion.
Okay.
Rugs, just over 1% conversion rate, and just under a $200 AOV. And mattresses, can you guess what the mattresses conversion rate and AOV would be?
Yeah. Let's say $572.
Okay.
Because, the hard part is some people are buying twins or fulls or there's a big price point difference.
Yeah.
But then you can also get a cheap ass mattress from like Amazon for $200. But this is direct to consumer.
Direct to consumer.
Okay. I'm gonna bring it down. $432, and then because I would imagine there's more twins and fulls than I think there are. And then what's the conversion rate? Oh, it's got to be low because you get on that. You got to spend so much time before you buy something. 1.2%.
Wow. 0.75% conversion.
Okay.
And $850 AOV.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's very off on AOV.
Yeah. And I think, I don't even want to try to justify that. My guess is that like the twins and it's probably more the queens and the kings being bought online than it is the twins and the doubles.
Yeah, it's hard because when you go to Amazon, they have a 10-inch. Their bestseller mattress is this brand called Zinus.
Yeah.
ZINUS, sells for $219 for a queen.
Wow.
So, it's hard to, the mattress price, and I bet it's fantastic, actually.
What mattress do you use?
I use an 8 Sleep.
Same.
But
actually, I don't know if I like the mattress, to be honest, but I love the cover.
Yeah, I think I'm going to switch pretty soon. I'm less happy than most people are with the 8 Sleep.
Really?
Yeah, I rented this person's house in California for a year, and they had this horsehair mattress, which is very expensive, but when you get in it, it is the great, I'm nothing in the world could go wrong in this mattress. And I don't I love the temperature part, but it's
you can also just put this on top of anything now.
The 8 Sleep, yeah. But then you miss the feeling of the mattress, ruins the feeling of the mattress a little bit. Yeah. And so I miss, I like 8 Sleep and I've gotten 8 Sleep. I miss, I stayed at one of my friend's houses in Austin. My brother and I did, and he had extra bedrooms. He had 8 Sleep in every single bedroom, actually.
What a baller.
He is a baller.
This is Sully?
It wasn't his place, but he and I stayed at one of my friend's houses, and that guy had an 8 Sleep in every single bedroom.
That's how you know you've made it.
He has made it. He knew that
Yeah.
he'd made it, but he was also like, I hate traveling and going to a friend's house and they don't have an 8 sleep mattress, so I didn't want to not have that here. I'm not anti 8 sleep. I just like
a
this other
thoughtful
thing.
guy.
Yeah, he is really thoughtful. But anyway, I sleep on an 8 sleep.
Okay, now I've got tactics that work best according to Facebook's. I'm assuming this is their disruptor team. One of them, utilize celebrity testimonials in creative, which sounds obvious, but like they were like this works so well. I remember we worked with a supplement brand when we had the founder when we ran ads through the founder's account, because she's also a celebrity. CPC went down by 50%.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There used to be a day where you could like buy Derek Fisher's Facebook account for like a week. You pay him a certain amount of money. Is that still happen or no?
Not as much, but like I used to do that. I used to lease Jay Sean's Facebook and Instagram pages. And actually at Hint, we probably had like 75 verified pages in our business manager, because we would just try to go make these deals with influencers where we'd give them a couple $1,000 a month and we would get the ability to run ads with their pages. Yeah, I was surprised more people didn't do it back then.
Why does it not happen anymore?
I think it does happen, but not like it happens with the more of the performance marketing crowd. Curology is never gonna go out and get some random creator's page because they're Curology and like they want to be sophisticated.
Okay, got it. Okay.
The other thing I've seen is podcast ad clips. They mentioned it as well, but I've also seen podcasts like, for example, the Skinny Confidential, when she talks about a brand, if you get that clip and you run that as an ad, guaranteed that'll become your best performing ad creative. Next one they mentioned is beautifully designed catalog ads. So they mentioned Marpipe. If you use these enriched catalogs versus just the plain white background catalogs, I think, no one can confirm this, but I think you bid in a separate auction with catalog ads or dynamic ads versus regular ads. And so having the advantage of the better designed catalog ads outcompetes there.
They mentioned Marpipe?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, good for them.
Yeah, it was actually cool. They mentioned a lot of the advertorials that we do for clients as well as examples. Like they had really good examples in here. All right, now next one. This goes back to last episode. We were talking about targeting with creative. So they said to use different models and different color palettes within creative to reach new audiences.
Use different color palettes?
Yeah. So
and
like,
what was the other one?
Different color palettes and different models. So people who, like you got, so the brand that this is for, they mentioned like most of the content coming from this brand is very male dominant or very kind of gray and black. But to reach new audiences, they need to change who those models are in the creative, and they need to also get different color palettes in to try to get different people interested.
I get the models because if you have all men in your ads, I would imagine Facebook is like, okay, this targets men, this targets men, this targets men. The colors is even more interesting because you're like, okay, these people like to click on gray and black ads. Like, do people like to click on blue and orange ads? Is that how it works?
I think that's what they were saying. The creative examples they were showing were basically like showing the brand having like one kind of color of ads, and the alternative was like, one ad has got the splash of pink in the corner, or and I actually agree. I think that is a valid point to make. Like if you can get, it's basically just the creative at the end of the day. Like if you get different creative that speaks or resonates with somebody different.
Yeah, and that's why I get the model. I bet that it's true that colors resonate with people differently, and people are more prone to be like, oh, I saw red. I associate red with exciting, so let me click that. It's just surprising that they're like, this is how to target new people.
Yeah.
So they said that from a targeting new people perspective.
Yeah. Incremental new audience.
Very interesting.
And then my interpretation of that was like the AT&T example. Like you have a different commercial for California versus New York.
We talked last episode about like gender targeting.
Yeah.
And I guess it makes sense. Nike, Facebook is probably like, is this a woman? Target women. Is this a man? Target man. But what about Cuts? When Cuts launched women like a year ago,
yeah,
and they put it on ASC, it wasn't like the pixel like no women, no women, no
Right.
women, no women, no women ever. This has always been a men's brand. And now they're like, oh, we got to do women. Like, how do they do that? I'm
Yeah.
going to follow up with them and try to
maybe
get an
ask
answer to
Steven.
that. Yeah.
Okay, next thing they recommended, use creator handles. So basically just whitelist. ROAS on whitelisting is up 35%. CPA is down 21%, and CPMs are down 29%. And the thing that I think people got to understand about CPM, which I mentioned earlier, this brand was an under $15 CPM. CPM is just a great indicator of how much does Facebook like what you're doing on their platform.
How much is Facebook like? Okay, gotcha. By
That's
the way,
how I interpret it.
I'm going to Marpipe's website and I'm like, okay, how much does Marpipe cost? And it's pricing is custom requested demo.
It's your favorite.
I fucking hate these people. Okay, so CPM is a reflection of how much Facebook likes your brand.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Or like I view it as basically if you go to the desk and you say, hey, Facebook, these are my creatives, and they assign you a number because they know, oh, if your creative's really good, it's going to keep people engaged and it's going to get our goals accomplished. So we're going to give you a better CPM.
How come this brand is only spending $5 million then?
I don't know. I'm going to ask though.
Okay, all right.
Okay, next one, advertorials. They mentioned that across Facebook in general, advertorials have jumped about 2x in terms of brands starting to use it. So at the beginning of 2023, there was about a 12% utilization of content marketing and advertorials. At the end of 2023, it was 21%, which is a pretty big jump. This brand specifically was, I think, around like 18-ish%.
Of their spend went to them.
Yeah.
Got it.
With advertorials, though, conversion, 17% better conversion rate, 8% better AOV, 17% better ROAS. The best types of advertorials, the first one is FOMO and promotion. So something like, this product sold out before, now it's back in stock, or just running a sale. Second one is self-experience or honest reviews. So, I saw this water bottle on TikTok and I tried it. Here's what happened. Comparison. So, factored versus something. Meal kit.
Sure.
Educational. And then the last one is expert's opinion. So, we saw this skincare brand everywhere. Here's a doctor's review.
Makes sense.
Whitelisting with advertorials brought 45% of new incremental reach to this brand. So it allowed them to really get out and find new audience. And we've actually seen this before where really with brands that are like high AOV and require some sort of education is where we find the sweet spot for advertorials. If you're selling like we did it once with a supplement brand that's really well known for their protein powder, but they're very much like a retail / heavy discount type of brand. And we found that it drove a huge audience to the brand, but because the brand was running a different flash sale every day, the brand got the credit for converting all those people, but it still did bring that audience in. And that makes total sense because content allows you to reach. It's basically like changing your creative with colors and models, in just a written form. And then the last thing they mentioned was like every sale period you have, you should really try to whitelist because you set yourself up for the best possible number when you have a sale. Obviously it's going to do well. Now just make it even stronger by taking what we know about whitelisting and apply it to the sale period.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting that Facebook has done is they've made it so that you can start increasing your budget during sale periods when you're building a campaign. So let's say you're building a campaign and you're like, I want to spend $500 a day on this campaign, but you can be like, I'm going to be offering a sale or something these 3 weekends. So, or like, these days, so increase my budget these days. I wish they would let you do it more than that, like give you more control. Like, one, I'm not sure how it works in terms of spending budget when everyone's sleeping. I bet it's very low, but like, I'm always like, I wish we could turn these things off at 11 p.m. on the West Coast. And then you could increase budget. Like, if you've got a product that probably some products that sell better on like Tuesday, like, coffee, I would imagine coffee sells better on Mondays than it does on Fridays.
Totally. Alcohol sells better on like Thursdays.
The weekends, yeah. So I wish you could do a little bit more of that type of targeting as well.
That would be cool. I guess the only way to do it now is kind of like start and stop, right?
Yeah,
which
that's so
messes up your campaigns.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like not realistic.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that they don't offer that yet because yes, if I were coffee, I'd be like probably Mondays. If I were Jambies, I'd probably be like the weekend.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. Like, I wish you could do a little bit more.
Yeah. That would be really interesting. All right, we don't have time for the third. The third part I wanted to talk about was these category leading brands and how they became these darlings over the last 3 years.
What are the category leading brands? Well, let's save it for the next episode.
Yeah,
but can you say
brands like Jolie or Caraway or Missouri? These brands that have basically like they just killed it. Like they just absolutely killed it. Caraway, Jolie specifically, I think. Missouri's been around for a lot longer, but like Caraway, Jolie sort of came out. They ran the same playbook, and they became, multi-$100 million brands.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Looking forward to hearing more about that.
Sweet. See you soon.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise in CPG, retail, and e-commerce.
And if you enjoyed this episode, then why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts on.